For more than half a century, it was unthinkable. But today, for the first time since 1956, an American president sat down for formal discussions with the leader of Cuba. President Barack Obama and Cuban President Raul Castro met in a small conference room in a convention center in Panama City, Panama, where the Summit of the Americas has been taking place. Mr. Obama told the 83-year-old Cuban head of state, quote, "We are now in a position to move on a path toward the future." Major Garrett is in Panama City with the president. Major, good evening.
Good evening. Even before their historic meeting, President Obama suggested Cuban dictator Raul Castro set aside past grievances. Instead, Castro spent 48 minutes, he was allotted 8, dwelling on a century of grievances. But, he said, Mr. Obama was not to blame.
The two leaders met on the sidelines of the Summit of the Americas, the first substantive talks between a U.S. president and Cuban leader since President Eisenhower's encounter, also in Panama, with pro-American dictator Fulgencio Batista in 1956. President Obama called Cuba's presence at the summit an historic occasion. After denouncing decades of American imperialism, Castro offered this.
That I am very emotional when I talk about the revolution. I apologize to him because President Obama had no responsibility with this. There were 10 presidents before him.
The president called it a promising start.
I think what we have both concluded is that we can disagree with a spirit of respect and civility, and that over time it is possible for us to turn the page and develop a new relationship between our two countries.
President Obama has not yet said whether the U.S. will remove Cuba from its state sponsor of terror list, which restricts Cuba's access to the U.S. banking system and American-made arms.
We have very different views of how society should be organized. And I was very direct with him that we are not going to stop talking about issues like democracy and human rights and freedom of assembly and freedom of the press. Not because we think we are perfect and that every country has to mimic us exactly, but because there are a set of universal principles for which we stand.
President Obama has left Panama City for Washington. His face-to-face encounter with Castro now genuine history. The hard part continues, thawing relations frozen for more than 5 decades. Jim?
Major, President Castro's statement is going to strike a lot of people as rather extraordinary. What was the reaction to it?
Well, he got big, thunderous applause. It was indulgent. He admitted so himself. One thing Castro said that will reverberate in the United States is he called Mr. Obama, President Obama, an honest man, and said he wants to support President Obama's move to normalize relations, and especially his call to Congress, which is not predisposed to do this, right now at least, lifting the economic embargo on Cuba.
Major Garrett in Panama with the president. Major, thank you.